Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my blitz game number 732. My opponent kicked off with e4, and I chose the French defense, e6. Goes d4, I go d5. Goes knight c3, you can see that top choice here. And I go bishop b4, the win hour. Slightly less popular than knight f6, the classical, but well, I like to play it when I get the chance. And now he plays the immediate a3. This is a bit of a sideline in the win hour, and actually it's one that I've played myself. The normal win hour goes e5, and then c5 counterattacking the center, and then a3. And then after the exchange of the knight, there's no problem with this pawn on e5 instead of on e4. When the pawn's on e4, it's just hanging there at the end of all that, and black can take it. So now black has a couple ways to develop with the knight or the queen. So that's the main line of the win hour. But he played the immediate a3. So black can grab a pawn here, but it's only a temporary pawn up. It's not a gambit at this point. You can take this pawn, and then the move queen to g4. Queen comes out here with a double attack and hits those two pawns. And the idea is, I'll go ahead and put this on the board, you have a choice of which pawn to save, and it's actually better to save the center pawn. Play knight f6, give away the king side here with allowing queen to g8. Now you can, queen takes g7. Now you can play rook g8 and chase the queen a little bit. And let's see, what's the next move for black? c5, knight bd7, rook to g6, chasing the queen. Yeah, there's different ways to play from here with black, but the important thing is that this has been shown to be okay for black, so that's why they don't play this way anymore. But well, it's still an interesting position, and you know, obviously, if you're white, and I play this as white, you have an exposed queen and no development. But black has some weaknesses over here on the king side, and it's an interesting and complicated game, so I don't mind playing that, even if it's theoretically okay for black. Let's see. In this game, though, instead of going for that queen g4 idea, let's erase these arrows here, he just played f3, which you see is actually in the database, but it's a very rare gambit and not especially good. One point is that he's not even actually threatening to take the pawn, because you have queen to h4 check to pick it up. Or means, what I mean is he can take the pawn, but he can't hold on to it. So you can play a move like knight to f6 here. I think let's take a look at this. Yeah, the chess engine thought that c5 was the most interesting move here. And after c5, there's a lot of different choices, but if he takes the pawn, then you can throw in this check and get it back, and that is good. So white would probably play something else at this point, and this would be the best way for black to play against that gambit. So the way I played knight f6 here. Let's see, we're still not out of the opening book here. I played knight f6, and he played bishop to g5. He could also have taken the pawn and allowed me to take immediately, and then tried to exploit the position of my knight. But something similar happens in the game. I kick his bishop, he drops back, and then I went ahead and played g5. I wanted to hold on to that pawn, and at that point we're out of the opening book, so he drops back. And all of this is in the range of okay. And maybe black is a little bit better, but but it's not the biggest advantage I could have gotten out of this opening. I needed to play that c5 move back on move 6 instead of knight to f6. But there's still some edge for black here. Let's see. He went. It's my turn. I go bishop d7. Yeah, I was thinking of putting the bishop on c6, which would have been a good plan. He went bishop to e5. And now I should just follow through with bishop c6. He's not going to take that knight, and I shouldn't be in any hurry to castle here. I just didn't think of this move. I had thought of bishop c6 the move before, but now I was worried about him taking the knight and grabbing the pawn. And with this, with these pawns in the way, then I no longer have this queen check to pick up the pawn on e4. So it's really getting his pawn back and leaving him with a big center. So you do have to worry about that, but bishop c6 is the best way to deal with that. And leave open the idea of where to castle for a later a later point in the game, you could even consider playing knight here, taking the bishop, moving the queen here, and castling. Queen side, he does have the open b file, so something to consider when you're thinking of which side to castle. So it's hard to say. Black is probably not not going to be entirely comfortable whichever side he castles on. So so there's still play for white in these positions, but this would be best. But black is better with best play. After I castled here, actually white is better. So his gambit here has been justified, and he keeps the edge for a few moves here. So let's see. He goes ahead and takes at this point. I take. So I am a pawn up, but you know, he has this piece activity, and my king is a bit insecure. King h7, and now he goes bishop d3, which is an okay move, but the chess engine thinks the most direct and effective way to play is with h4. He hits this idea later in the game, but it would be pretty good right here. I mean, the threat is just to take and open up the h file, and with the queen and the rook on a battery hitting h6, it's pretty tricky. Let's erase all those arrows. Let's see. The chess engine still thinks I can defend, but it gives an advantage to white in this position, and also with bishop d3. So white keeps an advantage through all of this part, although h4 would have given the biggest advantage. Let's see. So I play f5, holding on to my knight, and now he blunders here. He should just take the knight, and this keeps an edge for white. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and again with this h4 idea, and now I can defend with rook to f5, kind of hold things together. But you know, if you look at the development, actually our development is about the same. Both of us have a knight and a rook that need to come into the game still, but definitely white is more comfortable here. His king is safe, and he's attacking over here. He's got a lot of activity with his pieces, and this rook is developed. It's already playing a role in the game. It doesn't have to move, and this knight can get in pretty quickly. So yeah, anyway, that's best play for white, and he's pretty good there. Although it's not game over. I mean, it's just an advantage to white. I can still defend. But anyway, he castles, and that's a blunder. So if you want to spot the tactic here, see if you can spot the best move for black, which is not what I played, by the way. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. Pause the video if you want time to spot it. And the answer is knight to f2. Yeah, it's just he left his pieces here. That's a fork, and yeah, it's good to reduce his forces there. It also, you know, the knight was more of a liability than anything else on e5. He was able to trade that off at any moment. Anyway, I was not really thinking about aggression. That's what can happen. You know, it's one of the reasons why gambits can be effective. Is your opponent is, if you're the one playing the gambit, your opponent, you just keep making threats, and your opponent gets into a defensive mindset, and he just blindly defends instead of spotting these counterattacking ideas. And that's the trap that I fell into here. I just brought my knight back to defend instead of playing the more aggressive knight to f2. And this is still good for black. His ever since he castled, the evaluation has shifted to be in black's favor. It just was not the most aggressive way to play. He really needed to take my knight at that point and play h4, like I said. So now the advantage has shifted back to black, and I keep it. So he should just take the knight, but instead he retreated his queen. And let's see, I get another piece into the game. Let's see, he gets h4 now. So it's a good idea, but it would have been much more effective later. In this particular case, I can push my pawn forward to g4 and keep the king side closed. So this keeps this game under control for me. I take it, and yeah, I missed this trick. That's a neat little trick. It's got a pin on the g-pawn there. So he could just take that pawn. He couldn't take it right away because my knight was still defending, and he had to trade first, and then he can grab the pawn. So yeah, this guy was spotting some ideas here, but he was playing just a little bit too recklessly. Let's see. So I went rook g6 here. Just queen over to f4, queen to e7. I want to be able to bring my other rook into the game. And, you know, when I get all my pieces in, then I'm feeling pretty comfortable. He went knight to f3. He's getting all of his pieces in too. And I went over here and grabbed a pawn. I looked at this with a chess engine, and actually the engine likes this. It thinks that's really the best move. King goes to d2. I mean, it does waste a tempo. Let's see. The chess engine wants me to bring my queen back to d6 and just challenge his queen. If I can just trade the queens off, I'm going to be in good shape here. Instead, I played rook a g8, which, like I said, it keeps an advantage for me. He throws in this very clever tactic, knight to g5 check. Let's see. He could have played queen to c7, and then I can defend like this. I can throw in this check. Where's this? Oh, he blocks with the bishop, and then I can defend this way with the other rook, defending the bishop here. And well, maybe I'll lose another pawn here, but this keeps the game in Black's favor. But you know, White is still playing. There's chances for both sides here still, I guess. After knight g5 check, this is a tactic that just it's not enough. You know, he's sacrificing a whole piece and he doesn't get enough for it. So I take. He takes with a pawn. I run with my king here. And then he goes with g4. I really didn't see this g4 idea coming. And first I was thinking of taking this pawn, but of course my king is interrupting interrupting the defense of the rook, so that would have cost me some material. So I brought my queen back. Again, queen to d6 would have been the place to put the queen. So he takes. I take. The one advantage with the queen on e7, though, is I am looking at this pawn. But it's not clear I want to take that pawn. I mean, that pawn acts as a shelter to my king. But anyway, he decided to defend that pawn. And then I played queen e6. He went rook d to e1, chasing my queen. And I moved my queen over here to f7. And this actually starts to give Black White some chances again. Once again, this queen d6. This is a square I should have gone to. It's defending my queen side. And it's chasing his queen away. He doesn't really want to trade queens, though that might technically be the best move here. But if he drops his queen back, I mean, I was a little bit worried about losing this pawn, but he actually can't take that pawn if I do something like rook to h8, because I've got threats now. If, for example, he takes on f5, I can play rook to h2 there. And that's a skewer, so he has to block with the rook, and then after the trade, it'll pull his queen away, and I can grab the bishop. So there are tactical ways to defend that f pawn that I was so worried about. Instead, I went queen f7 directly, and now you know, he's got some. Well, oh, not yet. d5 is a blunder. I should just take d5 off. It's not until I play knight e7. So it took a couple of mistakes in a row, and then finally he's in the game. And once again, this is an example where I'm not responding appropriately. You know, I'm just seeing the threats and I'm not seeing my counterattack. So he succeeded from that point of view of putting me in the wrong mindset. So anyway, so that move d5 is really just a blunder, but I let him get away with it. He takes. Let's see. He threw in. Queen to e5 check, went king to f8, takes on c7, and I noticed just in time, I was worried about these checks along the back rank, but I noticed just in time he's actually threatening to take my bishop, and so this time I grabbed the pawn, threatening his queen, and he goes queen to d8 check, and it's that's actually the losing move. He still had a draw in hand with queen to b8 check, because I don't really have any good way to interpose. Notice his rook is guarding this square. So let's see. Is that true? I suppose I could interpose with the bishop, but then he would have checks here. Anyway, the line given by the chess engine is king here, queen here, check, and king back. So just a draw through repetition. And that would have been the best that White could have gotten out of the game at this point. Instead, he went queen to d8 check. And now when I run back here, there's no more check back in this direction. So he played c4, once again attacking my knight, and trying the same trick again, seeing if I will move my knight. But this time I notice that I do have some counterattacking moves, and I take advantage of one of them. I grab his queen. So anyway, interesting game, and some cute attacking ideas there. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.